All right, welcome to Reflect, Recalibrate. Whoop, whoop. We are your lovely lady artivist hosts, the lovely Janet E. Dandridge and myself, Danny Snyder. This is part two of the Navigating Artivism Collection, where we are chatting with Y, an interdisciplinary artivist who uses creative expression and cypher pedagogy to activate his highest potential, serving communities through art, education, and culture. We have so much to talk about today. I don't know. We're not going to be able to talk about everything. That's for sure. But
But we're gonna try to get to a lot of it.
a
So
lot of it. How you doing,
before
Janet?
I'm good. I'm good. There's tons of things happening, and so let's just get on into it. So
Yeah.
before we bring Y on, here's the quick news bite for today from the Virginia Public Sector Labor Coalition. All right. A tale of two bills has emerged as both chambers of the Virginia General Assembly passed historic legislation that would extend collective bargaining rights to more than 500,000 of Virginia's public service workers, including teachers, firefighters, and state workers. While the advancement of this legislation represents a monumental step forward for Virginia workers, two key segments of workers were unexpectedly removed from the Senate and House bills, respectively. Home care workers and university campus workers. Home care workers include the people who take care of the elderly, the people who care for individuals with physical disabilities. University campus workers include artists who supplement their income by providing their expertise to future generations of artists. University presidents used their power and privilege to lobby behind closed doors against collective bargaining. So call your state representative to support collective bargaining for all public workers in Virginia. That is the news bite.
Mhm.
Collective
Yeah.
bargaining needs to be supported, y'all. So, all right.
In many states, right? Like there's only a few
Right.
states that, yeah.
Yes, it's yeah, like it's a good amount of states that do not have collective bargaining rights. They are just not providing public sector workers with the tools they need to receive fair and just employment environments, fair and
Mhm.
just pay, fair and just benefits. So
Mhm.
it's important for us to support each other. And in relation to artists, there are so many artists who are professors in universities,
Right.
and this is their sole, like, they rely heavily on
Right.
their work
Mhm.
in universities to supplement
Mhm.
income for their practice. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Which honestly, I actually know a lot of people too that are artists and also caretakers. I know a
Oh
lot of
wow.
people because I know a lot of
Oh wow.
artists who want to take care of people.
Right,
They're
right,
doing
right,
art for communities and then they also just want to do for the community, in other
right,
ways. So
right.
I see that a lot. Yeah.
I mean, we're doing that through our art, right? We're we're,
Right.
we're taking care.
Right.
So, speaking of which,
Yeah. Let's do it.
let's go ahead and bring in our very special guest.
Woo woo.
Why?
Why? Come
Welcome,
on.
why?
Here we go, y'all. Ba-da-da-dum. There we
Ba-da-da-dum.
Oh, oh,
go.
oh, oh.
There it is. Got a little chord bond. I think there's a little F minor action in there. Thank y'all for having me, for holding space for, what is to happen. I'm excited to see
Right,
what it is, just
Yeah.
as you. But
right.
I appreciate both of you and want to honor Finestro for, introducing me to Danny, and of course these two women took some amazing time out of their day prior to this to have a conversation. So appreciate the behind the scenes and thanks for having
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. There was lots of conversations before this conversation. I was like, we need to hold this and pause this
We got it. We
and do
got
it
it. We
in the
got it. Sauce,
podcast.
sauce,
Yeah.
sauce.
Yeah. But let's jump right into it because I know there's so
Yeah.
many things we want to talk about.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I've been listening to some of the artivist talks that you've been doing,
Okay.
which are awesome. The
Oh
stories
yeah,
in
yeah,
them are
yeah,
so good. But what I really
yeah.
appreciate is that at the beginning of every episode, you give this definition of what artivism is to you. And in actually the last episode we did of this collection of Navigating Artivism, we gave our definition of artivism, but I'd love to start with just your definition and what it is to you, and feel free to elaborate upon
Yeah, yeah.
what you usually say in the talks.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It was a little run I had, and seasons come and they go. And a big thing that coming from a lot of things that were traditional, but I'm always, if this is Earth, I look at it from space. And when I got into, more traditional activism to protest, city council awareness, I always hit a glass ceiling. I saw crazy things of people using these guides, and I was like, what really is activism to me? And I think it might have been bell hooks. I don't want to misquote it, but I came across the word artivism. And I was like, wow, this word resonates. And, the two words art and activism. But I know is any way you create, you express creatively. Someone could do a spreadsheet and that's their art. Someone could put on their outfit and that is a form of creative expression. So I feel all art is how you creatively display yourselves, and not, it doesn't have to be through painting, singing, dance, and traditional mediums, just however you feel like you put your stank on it, put your foot on it. And then the activism is, to me, activating your organism. Because I was like, what do I really want to do if I'm looking to do policy change or build a community center? What am I really doing? And it is to, activate my organism to its highest potential, which I believe is pouring into your cup so that it can overflow into other things, not at a neglect of yourself, which I have done before, and it's just that way of knowing that it could be a sustainable thing, and what is your form of activism is welcome however you do it. Some people are very introverted. They might not be on a protest line. They might be someone who just knits baskets and like gives them, or feeds cats in the neighborhood. And like that to me is artivism, and I just like to have that macro and micro of it. And however you do, if you choose to do it in what would be more common ways, go for it. But if you do it in your own little way, everybody chipping in theirs is enough. So using art and creativity to activate your organism to its highest potential.
So it seems like art can be like, I think of art as it can be so many things. Like I even think sometimes
Facts.
gardening can be artistic. I think sometimes,
Facts.
cooking is definitely artistic. Uh, so it seems from what I'm understanding in your mind, yeah, I like all your little 100% in hearts.
Yeah, we go. I speak
It seems like
emoji,
it can be like a lot of stuff, almost
Yeah.
anything really.
Hmm.
But I am wondering too, if I'd like for you to, if you want to clarify that, but also
Yeah.
I'm wondering, sometimes it seems in some of the artivist talks that I heard you do, this idea of quote like traditional activism, and sometimes
Yeah.
associating it with burnout. It seems like a lot of times you like it seems like it always led to burnout to you. I don't know. Like I'm
Yeah,
curious,
yeah,
like
that's a great.
because you also mentioned sustainability here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that is. It's the same. It's very. You picked up on it. I love. See, even the tone that you said at the those are subtleties. 90% of communication is nonverbal, right? It's communicated through energy. So on a path like we all are on, we gather, we learn, we get rid of certain things like spring cleaning and all those things. So from going through a lot of things, when I was doing personally traditional things that I got burnt out, I was angry. Just to be totally honest, I was looking at systemic injustice, oppression, whether racial, from being immigrants, from all types of the ails of the world that have existed and continue to exist. And I found myself carrying a poison of anger, even though I felt that was anger for a good cause. Now, this is all subject. This is my disclaimer. Subject to that. So there you go. Handle
I wish
that.
we
Do
could
with it
hear
as
it.
you much.
I know it's
But
hard to
In the
hear. The
background.
Zoom is
Yeah.
like
All right, we'll get
there
it.
we
We'll
go.
get it. It's for the chosen. But anyways, the chosen got the dog ears. We'll get it. Your cats might pick it up. But regardless, it's about laughter. It's about that, right? It's about just allowing, right? Allowing those things. And because I realize, even if I'm angry about a good cause or upset about so and so, and I'm someone who's been through my own trials and tribulations, and I carry that with me. But carrying that, you still got that weight on you. And I was like, I don't want this burden on me, because if it's like carrying 100-pound weight, it's like life is already challenging enough. Now to put on this 100 pounds, and I would think, oh, because I'm upset about, systemic injustice, or, racial inequalities, or the migrant situation, right? I just realized holding on to anger does not help it. It's actually, when any war is created, you need two sides. So both start to do this. And I always say there's three sides of a coin. The edge is usually neglected. Now, I stand for what I stand for, but I also know that if I'm going to out a fire with fire, the fire is going to just get bigger. So I think what happens is people argue a lot of times their vantage point, their perspective, usually based on information they receive, their lived experience, and what they were taught by whoever was around them physically. It could be family members, school, whatever they surround themselves. I use the word attenergy, what they put their attention and energy. And then that becomes their reality. So people, we are creatures of habit. You argue your reality, and then another person argues their reality. And a way that I've heard it described simply, I try to make something always so easy, like a 5-year-old could get it. If we have the number 6 on a table, and I'm looking at it and it looks like this, and you're on the opposite of the table, and you're gonna see it like a 9. And I'm gonna go and speak to you like, I'm gonna say everything. Yo, look at this. No, it's curved this way. Or like I said, the gray or blue dress. And then people, in my opinion, waste, or I have wasted. Let me keep it on me. I'm learning. I have wasted so much of my precious energy in saying it's a 6, when I should just say, wait a minute, let me look on the other side of the table. And then on the other side of the table, I can see. I don't have to agree with something, but I can notice it. And once I did that, my life got simpler and easier. And a lot more things started happening for me. Great. My health went better. Mental health was creativity, everything. So I was like, wait a minute. Now this key is something that worked for me. I am not saying this is a way that everyone has to look at it, but it was a choice I made, and a choice that profoundly impacted my life, so that it gave me something. And I shared that as a tool where someone may or may not use that. But you know what I mean? Keep that away from me. That's all I got to say. I'm not in that. Some people may say, oh, you're playing Switzerland, because they're fixed on that. They're fixed on an identity. Mm-hmm. And if you mess with their identity, they will come for you. And, I also got to be selective on how I communicate and when I can say certain things. So I got to read the room too. So I know if I'm going into someone who's heavily, like maybe they're heavily in a religious thing, I got to learn how to navigate that. That was my mistake too. I thought that I could just say my views and stand on ground. But when people got violent against me, tried to cancel me on the internet, do all types of stuff, when I was like, what did I do to you? I was like, bruh, I was there scratching my head. But then I realized they felt I was forcing them out of an identity that they have solidified. And I'm not in the business of doing that. I'm here to say, I am living in my authentic truth, live in your authentic truth, respect my truth, and I'll respect your truth. As long as you're not harming me or anyone else or doing that, it's okay with me. I might not agree with it, but I'm not trying to move you into my view. But I also don't want to be, we're all allowed to hold our views in perspective. This is a choice of it, and I think the divine right of our existence. So that's what led me to, expressing myself in those feelings. And thank you guys for that. It's a brilliant question, Salute.
A lot of what you're saying is super resonating with my philosophy. Mm-hmm. And something I've mentioned this in one of our episodes before. I would love to one day write a book about anger and activism and the role of anger and activism. Yeah. But what you just said, even though I'm like, this is getting us a little bit maybe off topic, although we're going to get off topic a lot today. But I am wondering, you said, well, as long as you're not causing harm. But I think that's why a lot of people get angry, because they're seeing a lot of physical and emotional and familial harm happening. So I'm kind of wondering two things, like, what do you do when you do see harm taking place? And also, do you get angry?
Yeah, so great question. And this leads me to the
honest question.
I'm someone who I don't like to use the word survivor, but I'm a thriver of someone who multiple times violence, high level violence with weapons. I've been stabbed multiple times. And I say this in an honorable way. This is my perspective. Trigger warning. That was probably the best thing to happen to me. Now, here's the story. So in that experience, I'm in the hospital, stabbed up. I was selling some minor weed, trying to make a, you know what I mean? I was doing things that brought certain energies to me. And for whatever reason, I just had that awareness. And, just coming up in Jamaica, Queens, it was a code. If you're selling something or you're doing something that, the person was like, hey, he sells weed. Let's rob him. And I understood. So me being naive, right? This is what I did. I said, hey, like this kind of voice. I know you're trying to rob me. So it's not going to work. Lose my number. Like, don't worry about it. I'm just a petty person who's trying to smoke for free. I tried to come with the truth, right? And this is why I got to this perspective. And then that person reached out to another person that came out of jail, and they started calling my phone. We want these amounts. And I was like, guys, I don't. And, I'm still cucumber calm. I'm in there. So then this is naive, right? I went into that situation because I don't have that fear of death. I don't know why. But I went in there and I said, hey, I tell you guys, and I'm smiling like this. And this must have triggered the living snot out of them. You know what I mean? I was like, you keep calling me. I tell you I'm nothing crazy. I'm just this person who's doing this and this to pay a little thing, and why is there an issue? And then, I said, if there's an issue, I'm from the old school, so I was like, yo, let's put our hands up, you know what I mean? And yo, if you can, let's just get it over with. No one's gonna get hurt. If I get a little couple hits in the face, I was raised in a certain way that I was like, okay, there's a problem with me. I'm violating the code because I'm a petty, small-time nickel bag seller or whatever at the time, right? I'm like, okay, so let's square it off. And when that interaction happened, the other dude came out the bushes and, he pulled out a shank and bang, bang. I didn't even know I got stabbed. The adrenaline was so high. And, when I was in that hospital and I went through that situation, all I could think is, wow, what a hurt person. What a hurt person.
Right.
Now, to my own thing, I've seen the issues with that point of view because I can... I have not put myself first as a lot of times, but now I understand that I can look back at that and say, I shouldn't have gone into those things. I put myself in harm's way. But when I look at that empathy that I had, and the police were like, yo, we want this person to go away for 25 years. And I had hood friends that were like, please, why? We wait for stuff like this, Shout out to my old Jamaica goons. They were just like, you don't do nothing to nobody. Why? You're like a saint. They're like, please let us inflict the violence on this person. And I was like, no. Told the guy, throw the weed away, get rid of the guns I had, get rid of it all. I'm doing wrong with my life. And I just took full accountability for it. And once again, it's these kind of things that make me, and like when the court case came, I was like, I don't want to do nothing with this guy. And then when I went in there, I went, they summoned me to go to court. And then I said, this guy did stab me. I think it was a dick move, but I was like, he's hurt. He's a
So
loser.
is
He's
this
hurt.
is this
And
is
let
this
him
how
go.
why not show love comes up? Why not show love? Your
Yeah,
work?
it's kind of
Is this
like
is
it's a
this where this
simple.
comes from?
Yeah, I think you guys are really getting in there. Thank y'all for holding the space once again, because I've worked through this. I've gone to therapy. And I've understood the ways that sometimes I'm too much of a pleaser. It can be too much, and now I feel a bit more balanced. So once again, I'm not suggesting everyone, be what you are, but that was my initial instinct. And then why it's to show love is like, I don't want to see separation between me and another person, even if I disagree with them. And that has once again made my life simpler and easier. And if anything, this is what I am striving for. I can change myself. And in turn, if enough people change themselves, the world changes. So I'm able to use the ability to change the only thing that I have full autonomy over, which is my thoughts, my choices, my actions. And I'm hyper vigilant and hyper focused on that. But I'm also very sensitive on not moving that person away. The police were like, oh, well, he's going to come and get, they fear, right? He's going to come in this. He's a 3-time felon. This is his 3rd strike. He's macheted someone else. This and this happened. And I said, nah, he looks soft. He's scared. And I truly felt that this was a scared person. Yeah, he was a big muscle dude or whatever. I don't know what he went through in jail. But I was like, he's hurt. And I think no one really showed him love. So when you say why not show love, I was
Right.
like, I think
Right.
to me, and people can criticize me, I have no problem with it. I'm with the smoke, hashtag. I just saw that this person lacked love. And the only way you could get to a point to physically do that to someone else, you don't just wake up like that. There had to be a series of events.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
And
and
I
that's where I was
appreciate that
like,
you were
show
able to.
love. If it's really gonna stop him, you throw him back in the Bing for
Exactly.
another year or two. He'd probably come out going more crazy and do something because fire
This
doesn't out a fire.
recidivism, you're making me think of that recidivism,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, check
making
that
that
out.
choice, thinking about your higher self. How can I show
Yes,
love, being able to give forgiveness and shift that into what I practice on a daily basis. When I'm
big
looking at
facts.
your work and looking at all of your videos you've posted online, the different ways in which you provide a sort of guidance to your audience in terms of
Thanks.
how
I'm
we
blushing.
can live in nature, how we can appreciate each other, how we can use our creativity to move all beings forward in a progressive and loving way. It makes me joyful to know that not only in the spaces that I'm accustomed to, this is happening, but this is also happening in spaces that I'm not aware of, because until I didn't know anything about your work. And so, like, getting
Mm-hmm.
introduced to your work and how you approach your work, the pedagogy that you use in your work,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear about that. I want to hear about creative expressions and
Yeah.
how that is like part of this evolution that you're talking about, that you are sharing with folks, and how that's just affected your life and the people's lives that you are working with. So please talk about your work,
Wow.
creative expressions.
Oh, thank you guys. No, you got me feeling the feels, good feels, right? And that's because
Good.
it's beautiful for y'all holding space. And I always want to, show both sides and be authentic and vulnerable. That's my thing. And it didn't come easy to get this way. It was forged through a fires, and why I kept chiseling. It's like when you play one piece over and over again, a piece of music. I kind of learn things through music. So I noticed that when you play something the first time, it's like okay, but when you play it the 10,000th time, that's why they say. Bruce Lee has a great quote. I'm not worried about the person who's 10,000 kicks. The one who's one kick 10,000. So I've had to repeat this mantra of show love and creative expression. And yeah, it did come to me through understanding the circle, which is connected to cypher. If you know hip hop culture and that, but when I did etymology, I'm into words and studying sound. So sifir is Arabic word for zero, which is also means to make something from nothing, to create, just like I could be blank and that's a melody that it came out with the rhythm and a pocket and a groove that seemingly came out of thin air, right? But all the things that I have in my being allowed me to be. And I answered it, right? And that's the way I naturally think. So having to repeat that refrain or that motif in musical terms over and over again and see it, my relationship to the note is different the more in depth you go. And my relationship to myself deepens, it allows me to deepen it to humanity. And I ask the creator, the source, God, whatever you want to call it, I say, please utilize me to be able to do it. Like what you guys said about me, man, I can't fathom it. And that's why I use a question mark in my moniker. I don't think I've necessarily inspired. I just felt like I threw a match on something that
Say
was
what?
there. I truly think that I just let it was there. If you hook me up to the polygraph thingy majiggy, the litmus test, the lie detector, it's always there in people. But sometimes it's just like my first music mentor. He was like, I was sampling, making beats. I used to work in Sam Ash, a music store. I'll go on a sidebar. I'm gonna bring it home. Trust me, guys. So I'm playing, and I was like, I only know these two chords. It was C F, a fourth, right? You know what I mean? C to F. And then I was like, this is all I know. And then he's like, well, you could play the C like this. You could play the F like this. You could travel to it. And even if, so I was like, and he was like, what he showed me physiologically is you have more than you think. He didn't tell me learn all these chords. He later on did show me the chromatic scale and some great things that changed my life. But he approached me at where I was at. And he said, you know more than you, play it as soft as you can. Play it as loud as you can. Walk up to it, walk away from it. And he was like, and I was like, brain explosion. Where's my brain explosion emoji at? You know, I got in there and I was like, I cannot believe this. Now, connecting that to the pedagogy of the cypher, once you experience something, I think the word is physiologically, within your being and your body. That's why I think a lot of this work ends up being hyper intellectualized, where if you can physically, you know, stir up something within your being, you are going to reach a deep awareness of this infinite knowledge that is within you. When you read
love the book
books,
emojis.
When you get this stuff, it's in you. It can seem to, I think, an unaware part of us that I received something new. But I feel it's dormant thing, you know, when they say, oh, we only use 10% of our brains, there's junk DNA. And, you know, I'm really into neuroscience and those kind of things. It's a hobby for me. But I see that those things that are looked at as dormant and inactive are just potential energy. And that potential energy is made kinetic through emotion, energy and motion. When you have a strong feeling about something, that's why when someone goes through a traumatic experience, you only got to go through a heavy trauma once to then be impacted forever the rest of your life. Someone might got bitten by a dog when they was 3 and now they're scared of dogs forever. Now that threat isn't really in every dog, but that memory and that strong emotional tie is within it. So whenever they see a dog, they go into an automatic response. And in music, is I learned it as automation. So what I do is I strive to make sure no processes are automated within me. So yeah, that's where the cypher comes in. Because if I can show up fully authentically, fully vulnerable, and fully myself, I also don't believe in safe spaces. I believe in authentic spaces and vulnerable spaces. Because I've seen kids walk down the street, safe spaces. Kids went to school, shooter comes in, kid hit with a stray. You know, I've lost people that were in safe spaces, massacres in churches. You know, like, think about it. And I'm not saying this to say we shouldn't look out for each other, but it's like anything can happen. And what happens, it's really about looking at everything is, and that's a full statement. That's why I say just be, not be blank blank. Because once you add that extra part on it, it ties into identity. So if I say I'm a blank and I put in a religious thing, if someone has powerful emotional experiences that do not resonate with that, they're going to create an automated response to me. And that's what I noticed. If I used to go around and say, I'm an activist, I'm a social justice, then I know people who were, assaulted sexually by someone who was an activist. So they're gonna, you see what I mean? This doesn't taint what it is, but the second I do that, it creates their neurological pathways. I am now associated with the person who brings them harm. And I was like, wow. So this is why I associate myself with the question mark, with knowing that I don't know. It's a conscious choice to go into the realm of unknown as a respect to a person. And I have my personal beliefs, and if somebody asks me, sure, but those beliefs are fluctuating and moving at the speed of life, and they're changing. You listen to the song I listened to when I was in high school, I listened to it 10 years later, it's not the same song. I hear it differently because my awareness is different. So I'm big on that. Yeah.
How do you translate that into the work that you do in creative expression? So I want everybody to know what that is. I want everybody to know what that work is. So can you?
I don't want to use the word idiot savant, but I land on the right notes when I trust myself. I land on it, and I have such high love for myself. And I could say, and this is what, I was telling you guys, I could say, I formed a S Corp and I worked for nonprofit organizations and I have a minority business status and all the disclaimers. These are facts. I have done those things. I do consider myself a genius level person, and I consider everybody a genius too. I'm not the lone genius. I think everyone has their way to access. But the real thing that got me to do that was my innate desire to strive and communicate the thing that I feel that cannot be explained. So I have a daily routine that I fail at every day, and I love it because I love failure. I'm not looking for the ebb. I'm not looking for night to go away. I'm not looking for challenges to go away. I'm not looking for pain to be eliminated, but I'm looking to be able to navigate it. And the cypher is a space that has allowed me to navigate it. You know how I created a business? I made a lot of money on a W-9 and the IRS hit me for 10 grand in taxes. And then my cousin, rest in peace, who's no longer here, she said, well, why? You got to make a business because you could write everything off. In 1 year, I went from 10 grand in the hole.
Right. Practical information.
And then she was like, and then I was like, are you kidding me? Who's telling nobody this? I was signing W-9s, getting paid to speak, play music. I was living my dream. They waited on me. 5 years to stack up a bill. Schmeck, I'm living in New York. I spent all the money. I was like, I'm done. I'm down for the count. I was out. I was triggered. I was traumatized. I came from poverty. I came from immigrant stuff. I was like, yo, I'm out. 10 grand? What are you doing? If you don't pay it, they're going to hit me with fees. And because you see what my cousin did, she was part of the cypher. She was just in accounting school getting her CPA. And she goes, all you got to do is, the language sounded, but she was like, all you got to do is format this, create this, sign this, and create this, and then write all this, and in 1 year, we'll take away everything. It'll be a write-off. And I was like, I got no idea, cuz I trust you, Jess. Here you go. Bada bing, bada boom. And then she's like, what do you want to call it? And I said, you know what? Creative expressions, baby, we out. And then I stumbled on it. I didn't read books and know about the business. I got a bill. I got triggered. You know what I mean? I had a traumatic situation. I thought I was going to end up homeless. And then something appeared that knew greater than I did at the time. Shout out to my cousin. She's no longer with us. But, you know, and I say, wow. I was like, wow. And you see, when you go through that kind of emotional experience, I thought I was down for the count. I thought I was cooked. And she was so calm about it. So if she wasn't that level of calm.
Look, but now you know so much in terms of business, right? Like I'm just saying, like
I'm laughing
cousin giving you that practical information, you navigating racial capitalism. You know, hey, we just going you over here, we know who doesn't have 10,000. We're going to tell you to give us that. We're going to harm you. We're going to make you scared. Meanwhile, there's corporations and individuals who are in executive offices who haven't paid anything, or they've only paid $750. They know the system. Right now, just from what you're saying, what I'm listening to, and to honor what you are doing, is this. How did you get into this idea of the decentralized autonomous organization, the DAO model? Can you please share with our audience
where my heart's at?
what that is? Come on, operating system. There we go. Now the hearts are there. That. But yes, please,
I got y'all.
Tell our audience about that. I know time is running. I got y'all. I'm cooking on it. So let me take a breath. All right, C minor. All right, so what I've understood, see what I just did right there, right? I took a breath and I was like, let me express myself, right? I keep this thing on for a reason, for my mental health, dead ass, to be just straight up, right? Now, I used to have a course called Don't Take It for Granted, and I had one of the most beautiful failure. I was like, wait a minute, my cousin gave me the sauce. I wrote it down. I said, this is how you get an EIN. This is how you write off all your expenses. This is how you write off your phone bill. This is how you write a rent. And I laid it all out. I'm a nerd. I put it in a PDF. I put sauce. I had breakout activities. I had warm-ups. And guess what happened? I taught it to over 100 people for absolutely no money. And out of those 100, 3 people got what I was trying to communicate. And I was like, okay. If that's 100, I'm like, I got 97% failure rate. I love it. I thrive it. I was like, we did it. And they're like, yo, 97 dubbed it. They didn't get no bread. They didn't figure it out. They still in the dirt, in the mud. And that's first of all, the lotus only grows in the mud. So sit in the mud if you need to sit in the mud. Mud's not a bad place. But I laugh and I say, then I changed it to rooted and rising. Because you know what I realized? Their nervous systems. The nervous system. I also am going to say navigation. I choose navigation over regulation. Navigation means to notice what it is. If I hear the changes in the music, I might be instinctively go to there.
And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go to a note that's a little sour, it has tension. But that's where I navigated to. Now, if I regulated it, then I would say, oh, that's C. So, the notes that go really nice in C are the fourth, the fifth, and the octave. The smooth notes, or as Miles would say, the butter notes. So when I was like, wait a minute, this isn't about money. I got to get him at step 0. I thought I could get him at step 1 and be like 1, 2, 3. But when I realized I'm not thinking about what their personal life is going through, I'm not thinking about their stresses, their cortisol levels, their traumas around money. I grew up around deep money trauma, financial stuff, homelessness. I grew up around that the first 5 years of my life. And I was like, well, am I spoiled? Because I'm not any greater than anybody. I faced eviction 3 times, but when I see that eviction notice, I laugh and I go, good luck. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't happen after I get nervous and figure it out. I laugh at the eviction notice. I have no idea what's happening. And then I get a call. Hey, why? We need you to do this residency in Hell's Kitchen. And the amount is exactly the amount of my 3 months rent. How is this
right
possible?
On time. Right
How
on
is
time.
this possible? Because there is something that knows. Now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to make sure I don't go extreme, because I've learned through my abandonment issues, I sometimes will create a chaotic situation by my own doing to prove to my self-worthiness. So because I went through those murders, attempted murder thing, and those kind of things, high level eviction, I realized I was like, man, I don't want this stuff to go so high highs and low lows. I don't want this no more. I would like it. I know I can't stop the ebb and flow, but I want it to be a little bit more like this instead of big dynamics going from bang, like it's too extreme. But that made me have to notice that what I was doing on an energetic subconscious level, not on my conscious awareness. That's why I feel I pray for people, because I think that it's not in their conscious awareness, so they think it doesn't exist. But you have to slow down enough to notice your subconscious patterns. So what I would do, and this is where my great reveal is, connecting back to how I figured it out. I then noticed I would self-sabotage and create deliberately a chaotic situation with a person, a job, or this. How? If I was, let's say, hired by a nonprofit, right? Anger. I would get back into anger. They're paying me 3 months late. Triggered as AF. Rent. I was like, what do I do? You can't go to McDonald's, order a burger, and then pay them later. So how am I chasing money from 3 months ago? But you know what I realized was holding it up? My anger. Now people will think, you did the work. I did everything correct. But yet I was still failing. Just like these people who wrote the grants and didn't win them. When the other person who won the grant, they wrote their first grant and they won it. $5,000 right there. And I studied them. And I said, well, what did you do different? Because everyone was given the same information. We co-wrote grants together. Some got it. And guess what happened? The vast majority of people, they were scared. They were in a very triggered situation about their finances. They were writing the grant. Oh my God, I need this grant. I'm using exaggeration, but they were in a state of panic, fear, and survival mode. Whereas the other person did it. I said, how'd you win? He goes, yeah, I just wrote it and I forgot about it. Now
I've
you
heard
see,
that so many
someone
times.
thinks,
I've heard that so many times.
Yeah, dude.
work
Yeah.
smarter, not
Huge
harder.
grants.
Work smarter, not. I write grants and I don't even look at them. I don't look at them. I go, well, if I'll get a letter and the letter will say you've gone the grant, and when I get the letter that says you've been rejected, I go, yeah, whatever. When I get the letter that says you've been given 10,000, I go, yeah, whatever. And that's my honest reaction. Now, if you're waiting for something to come and save you, a government, a system, a relationship, your ass gonna be waiting a good amount of time. And hold that down, because if you want to do that, go and do that, because we have a lot of people that choose that way. I'm not saying that people will tell you work to the top, work hard. Bro, a lot of these people who's up there, they did it with grace and ease. So I think there's a narrative being pushed, especially on people of color, especially on women, that you got to take this arduous road to hell. And I took that road to hell for a good amount of my life. But it's not the truth. It's not the truth. And if anybody gets anything out of this, please know that you're divine. You have the answers. Notice your nervous system, navigate it, don't regulate it. And then you could take on the information, but look at your body. There's a great book, Body Keeps the Score. I also love Dr. Gabor Mate's work. Look at Joe Dispenza on the central autonomous nervous system. This is not stuff I'm making up. This is proof that when your being is in a state of survival, it creates what's called incoherent waves inside of yourself. And it means, like, if you're asked somebody to sing and they're nervous, they can be the greatest singer. They're going to tighten up. Their vocal cords will constrict. And they're going to, Whereas if you're calm and oh, sole mio, you sound like an angel. And anyone can do that. And it's not magic. It's awareness. And that's what it is, y'all. So I know I went a little all around, but I hopefully brought it back to that one, because it does get messy and it does get chaotic. It does, take what you can out of it, but find
No,
your way
I,
to it.
I appreciate the
Yeah.
insights, seriously. And it is
Yes.
inspiration. I know you're saying that it's there. Yes, it's there. And if it's dormant or people unaware and they get inspiration, the inspiration
Go in
just
it, believe in
awakens
it.
it. So you are doing that. I am
Thank you.
still very curious because of
Bust it
what you
down.
said. I'm still
Yeah.
very curious about this DAO
Yeah,
model,
yeah.
because
Yeah. Decentralized
in this
autonomous.
collection, right, in this collection,
Yeah.
we want to not only offer our audience ways in which we can live our daily lives, right, we want to figure out, and because we feel like you are doing it, why we want to
Oh,
figure out different models, different
Mhm.
approaches to how we can navigate racial capitalism and then subvert it. Because what you are talking about, and I don't want, well, what I'm going to
yeah,
do right
yeah.
now is bring up the DAO again, decentralized
Yeah,
autonomous
yeah.
model,
So,
right? And then moving that into a nonprofit. I'm
Mhm.
yeah,
curious about
yeah.
this because this is about that navigation, that
Yeah.
navigating of the
Got it.
racial capitalism,
It is. It is. It
and
is.
how are we
So,
subverting it and using it
okay.
and then moving away from it. So please, please, please,
All right, I got y'all. I got
specifically
y'all. What I
the
got. You know what I'm gonna
DAO.
do right now. You guys have figured me out right now. I gotta take a breath.
Take a breath.
Ask for the
Take a
wisdom.
breath.
Ask for the wisdom.
I think we
And
can all take a breath.
while you're taking a
F sharp.
breath, and I'll help with that breath if you don't mind, Danny, and
Yeah.
why. Just going back to something, why not show love? I asked that question earlier, and why not
Mm.
show love is another space that you can experience wise work.
Mhm.
Also, this is online on YouTube as well.
Mhm.
Why not show love? And I just want to make sure our audience knows, when we make
Yeah.
these references. And then we went
Yeah.
into creative
Find me.
expressions, which is the work that Y does in terms of the cypher pedagogy. And now
Yeah.
what we are talking about, as we have taken this breath, as we have taken this moment, is that decentralized autonomous organization, and moving that into a nonprofit organization and the navigation of that within racial
Yeah.
capitalism.
Yeah, so we got I'm gonna do this on the left brain side, which is always my challenge. So thank y'all for putting me to work. It's good. This is like putting some weights on a bench for me, which is great. I can always describe things right, left brain, pardon me, but the whole thing where it's gonna rain, my tone's gonna change, my posture's gonna change because I have to give my disclaimer. I don't believe in any of it, right? And that's why. So on a level of this, I like the word Tao because of the Tao Te Ching, and the Tao Te Ching is spelled T-A-O. So I'm just a nerd in etymology. So when I was like, Tao, decentralized autonomous, like I said, I'm kind of an idiot savant where I just land on it. And then when I saw what's decentralized, so something that's decentralized means it is not run in a top-down structure. Most corporate entities or other things. Now, if you really look at this, this is how indigenous civilizations always navigated. They moved in circles. Remember, if like the elders had to give this, or the person would go hunting and the other ones would peel the corn or do something, right? I always want to relate it to something that's really understandable in a non business structure. But what it is I've had to rewrite my website so many times. I've always keep the clay malleable. Now, what it is I believe we're living in a collapse of a systemic structure. I'm already outside of it in my brain, but because I still live in this box thing that asked me for almost $3,000. I don't even know what my rent is anymore. I just know it keeps going up and up, and I just know that do whatever you want to do. Hashtag I'm with the smoke. I'll figure it out. And if I gotta go to a homeless shelter and figure it out, I'm gonna be the nicest one in a homeless shelter that's gonna figure. That's really the true answer. I really want to echo on that. Now, if you have that ground zero locked in, then this is the hard part where I think it is on the left brain side. If you create a business, right? I've had people curse me out. I've had people try to cancel me last year, write very horrible things, make a negative post about creative expression. I want to just be real honest. I've been called a misogynist. I've been called a lot of heartful things. Thankfully, through therapy, I've worked there because I can't understand some of this. So this is when I tell people, yo, you want this path? Sure, but yo, look at what I have gone through. And I have to have so much grounding in myself. The same way I did to that guy who stabbed me. It's like, this person's hurt. This person's hurt. Now, have I made mistakes? Of course. Am I a human? Have I caused harm inadvertently or to someone else? Yes, I have. You know what? Yes, I have. I'm accountable for that. I paid for that. I make mistakes. And this is where we can't act like this is something or not. I'm tired of seeing these BS courses that are like, they keep showing this side, but they don't talk about the rough side of it. When the people tried, I booked and I got grants, people thought I was scaling in money. They don't know with that $10,000 grant, I was 300 in the hole because I paid everyone else. And I had to pay taxes on top of that. They just think, oh, he won a $10,000 grant. He walks around with a smile on his face. He plays some fire ass chords. He's good. And that's where I had to learn to speak up about it. Cause I'm like, no, y'all don't know. But then they think cause I'm happy, cause I love myself, somehow I scammed people. And that's what I couldn't handle. You know, I had to go to therapy to figure this out. I had to go to a men's group to understand how do I align in my divine mask, because I can be an assertive energy. And I had to figure things out. And what that did lead, and I have to be vulnerable because I can't feed nobody some things. Then the business started thriving. And then when I saw the fires that came on me, I got refined through the fires. I was like, wow, this person called me a scumbag and did this and this. And I'm like, yo, I pray to God. I'm like, yo, I'm not that. You know, if I lost that, I could have harmed myself. I could have done so much things to me. And these are because people thought I had something that they didn't have. And I wrote a lyric that said, you know, they tried to steal it from, I would have gave it to them, but they tried to take it from me. You know, like I'm not no better than anybody. I am not, you know, I'm so flattered you're calling me a person that knows, but I don't think I know jack about business. But you know what I do? I know how my organism works. And because I know so detailed how my organism works and that I'm a collective being within a collective species, within a human system, that's how I navigate my business. So it's decentralized because right now I'm in a circle with you, two amazing women. Right? And I can tell you, hey, man, I was called this, man. I was called unsafe. I was called all of that. That's what I have to have the guts to do to be able to work in a decentralized autonomous system. Because you know what regulates it? The circle regulates it. The community regulates it. So if I can't come up and say, man, I made mistakes. Man, I've caused harm. I did wrong. People came for my life. They came for my business. They came for me, man. They came for me. And I got through it. I couldn't have just made it all squeaky clean and played Switzerland safe. No, I had to work on my own being and analyze myself and decentralize because I knew that these experiences that happened to me were going to reflect in the business. Now, anytime you make a company, a business, a song, it's a reflection of your being. These structures and the entity, I have an S Corp, an MWB certification. To make a 501c3, you need a good board. I refuse to go into that realm unless I have a solid board of people that are way further than me. They're advanced in fundraising, marketing, and that. Because I know programming, I know blue collar work, and I know how to do what I know how to do. But I will not go into that infrastructure until that decentralized board can regulate it, because or else I'm not the top down guy. I'm not, I don't have it. So I know I went a little bit on a tangent, but I'm saying that to implement these structures in a way that is harmonious and in alignment with humanity, people, and your being, it has to be regulated by a community that can be held accountable and can hold accountable. And you have to know that we're all gray areas. We're going to make mistakes. We cannot be these perfect thing. And I think that's a big thing. People are waiting for the right moment. I told you, I didn't have the right moment. I started a business because I was in a hole 10 stacks. You know, I learned these methodologies, and I'm not ready to do the nonprofit because the board hasn't manifested. And until that board, maybe this conversation, someone will hit me like, this is genius. I want to be part of the board.
Yeah.
I have these things where I have to stay patient. If I have to know I got to run these changes again and again till I get them, I got no problem with practice. I got no problem staying where I'm at. But when you're there internally, it will happen externally. If you jump the gun and try to do it externally from physical reality without doing it first internally, that's when you get things that crumble or they rise and they fall. And I've been through that enough times to know that it presents itself. The information will call to you. You can reach out to me, hit me up at the website, creativeexpressions.co or whynotshowlove.com. Like, send me a message and I'll hop on a Zoom for no money and help you the best I can, because I made a commitment to the world to be of service. But if Like I can't give anything and I don't have answers, but I have really good questions. You know what I mean? So I have to say it in the authentic way. All the infrastructure in business, it's out there on YouTube. If you want to learn what a DAO is, want to learn how to,
Yeah.
someone on YouTube, they say it better than I do. I don't know that, but I can explain it on an energetic vibration of becoming it prior to creating it. And that's what I can help someone do,
So,
bring it embodied.
but your goal is to become a nonprofit?
I don't got goals. I don't got no goals though. My goal
Oh,
is done.
okay.
My goal, I just say it because it's just something like I'm gonna walk in the park today. I have these goals, but if they're achieved or they're not achieved, they make no difference to me. They truly, truly don't. And that's why I feel really good. Because I can say it and I can think about it, but this is where I want to be honest. I don't kill the ego. That's my ego. My ego says, I'm doing the funny voice for a reason. I would like to build a nonprofit to create sustainability to help people beyond my human existence. That's all my fucking ego. People think ego is only like, no. Do I want to have a song and tour the world? Sure. But that's my ego. I just know that that's my ego, and I don't put stock in this thing. I have it and I love it and I honor it, but I put stock here in the higher self that Janet spoke about. That's where all my energy goes, into the thing that is beyond me. Some will call it the creator, but this is the only thing that I look at, because when I look at this, for me, can't say forever, this makes my life easy, simple, and it brings things to me. When I look at this makes me have to chase. This makes me burn out. This makes me feel disappointment. This makes me go through certain things. So I just say, I have this. I'm not getting rid of this. I want to make it clear. This is not ego death. I'm not one of those people, because if I killed my ego, I wouldn't remember who my parents were, that I live in Astoria at my address. That's part of our ego. It's our identity. I wouldn't remember these notes that I was playing. That's part of my learned experience. But this part is my unknown experience. Yeah. And this part is like space, that Earth is within space. So if everything's good in space, Earth is going to be all right. So if everything's good in community, myself will be all right, because I'm part of the community that I'm fostering. And that community starts within my relationships to the various aspects of myself. So I know that was a bit of a download, but
yeah, and I'm trying to process all of this. I'm trying to I guess because so something I'm still stuck on. I'll be honest. Something I'm still stuck on is hit it. Yeah, I think grants are really stressful for a lot of artists. And I'm also curious, like, it can be extra stressful if you're not a nonprofit, you know what I mean? Like getting grant money. Yeah. But I'm wondering, like, to me, this is just me personally. Writing grants is not a thriving system for me personally. It doesn't work for me.
Then don't do it.
But I'm wondering, like, the way you write grants and then you forget about it, which
yeah,
I was like, I don't have that skill yet. That's something I need to work on. But I'm wondering, like,
Danny, you just said it.
You
just said the key.
Do you feel like, with where you're going, which I know you said you don't necessarily have goals, but like, I'm just wondering, like, it's still the process of applying to grants. Like, do you want to continue pursuing that process for funding? And also, like, for me, that's the other issue too, is like, once you have someone who's giving you money, there is kind of this hierarchy. Yeah. There is like, now, that's something we talked a little bit about in the last episode, is this idea of trust-based philanthropy, which we both had issues with.
Community, land trust, CTL.
But like getting money where like you could just get money and do whatever you want with it, and you don't have to like report up to this higher point. So I'm just wondering like how you're navigating this.
I got you. I know where I'm trying to hit all these, because this is good, because we can replay this. You guys are capturing this. So some of this stuff, like I said, it will go over, and that's okay. Take what you can. We can get a grain out of this. I get one note out of the melody. I could build something off of that, right? What it is, and Danny, you brought up a really, really powerful point. If you're going down to sit down to a grant and you're not feeling like light about it, it's gonna, what I call it in my brain, the torture chamber. I tell myself, I said, why? Nothing good comes out of the torture chamber. So sometimes I wake up and I want to practice, and and this is just me being a human. Man, I'm not good. We all go through it. This is a human experience we cannot get rid of. That's why I say I'm not getting. So when I'm in the torture chambers, I go, well, we go exit stage right now. Now, when I looked at, there was I think $15,000 in my email came in, and it said, okay, well, go do this grant. To go do this grant, this is 2 days ago. it said, you got to do these courses. You got to do 3 courses to qualify for it, right? So then I said, let me do 2 courses and then not worry about it. I see the 5 minutes in there. So what I say is, go, like, they're all tools. It's like a piano, drum, a guitar, a bass, everything, a conga. I truly, truly want to say the real sauce is in whatever calls you, because you can make it through this. And why I use the word omnidimensional is all these tools are here, and whatever tool is on your particular palette, maybe it's fundraising, maybe it's busking, or you shouldn't lock yourself into what you think is. You should go into the one that brings you the greatest feeling. And if it's like, yo, I'm going to go apply for 30 jobs, sure. If it's, I'm going to write this grant, but you are the one. That's why it's not about what you do. It's about the why. Why are you doing? If you're doing it out of fear, I believe personally it won't work. I don't think doing things out of fear in a lack-based place is sustainable, and it doesn't really work. But if you're doing things from a space of love, that's why the answer isn't in the what you're doing. It's like, how is your body reacting to it, your physicality awareness, and what is available to you within what you have. If you don't like the grant world, don't touch it. You don't like the nonprofit sector, stay away from it. Go into what you love. So I hope that really brings it, because that's a great point you made, Danny. And I think that gets overlooked, because people think this person succeeded with A, I got to walk an A path. And if I don't do A, I'm screwed. And that is a conditioning that you have to decolonize and unwire those neurosynapses in those places, which can be done. And when you free that in, then when you do it, you'll be like that. Okay. But yeah, go on, guys. I'm trying to micro machine it and hit you guys with what was as honest as I can. But thank you for those. I'm here.
I'm going to pause and let Janet step in, because she knows I will always just keep asking questions, and she's usually giving
you guys can offline
me
with
the
me
5-minute warning, not the guest.
You guys can do whatever with me. You can do more of these.
I'm
here. The fact that you guys are
I hear you, why, because this is definitely like a multi-part conversation.
This is a that's why I gave y'all the disclaimer. I can only give it in a holistic way, because I will never deny the energetic side and just give left brain information.
And I am totally the one who can oftentimes bring it back around, just from the type of family I grew up in.
We need that. We need that balance,
there, right? Everybody
that.
there, right?
We all playing our part.
So I know we're almost at time, and we have to do our special question.
Of course.
A surprise to you. Why? A surprise. Hey. However, right now, I am curious about your relationship. And when I say your relationship, I should say actually your usage of language. Earlier, you used, I would say, a portmanteau, and I think you said attenergy, like attention and energy.
Yeah.
And then you brought up with the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, the acronym is DAO, right? And then, you were just sharing different metaphors, analogies, etc.
Yeah.
And it's very important to you. And I'm relating this to something that you said in a conversation that we had when we did our introductions
offline,
when we first met each other.
Got it.
You said stereotypical activism. And I was very curious about that. I was very curious about what is stereotypical activism. And this is something that we started to touch on in the beginning of this episode, but we didn't get into it. And right now we don't have enough time to get fully into it. But I'm just curious, in a nutshell, what is stereotypical activism?
Okay. So stereotype, for anyone who played on the radio when it used to have, like, the cassettes and that, I literally will bend things in it. Like, this is the gift the creator has given me to use, to bend and create something new out of the sum is greater than its parts. When the band plays together, you could listen to each part separate, but when it comes together, it creates something bigger than the individual parts. So when I say stereotype, is meaning that same thing I go about what I've referred to as purely from the analytical left brain, right? Meaning that people think like 1 + 1 is 2, right? Now this is going to be a little different, because this is going to this might go over heads. People can throw me under the bus for this. I say, if you put 1 and 1 together, what does this look like to you?
11.
Right? Now I'm throwing this out there, trying to be simple and still be authentic to me. What if 1 and 1 is 11 and not 2? This is going to destroy fundamentals of how people think. Because when you go 1 and 1 is 2, it's saying we have to make this thing together. But you see, I think this is why I'm on Earth. I'll just say it like this. I've always seen it this way because I see them as all parts of things, but they are working together, but they do not lose their individuality. What I do consider stereotypical things, right? It requires a sacrificial part of that individuality. I don't want to try to say it too deeply. I'm hoping, so when it comes to activism,
that makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
If someone says this, I'm going to try to use the most simple way that I can know, that I've experienced and I've done, and I have no shade against people who do this. I was going with community land trust, ULURP, land usage when rezoning was happening in New York City, displacement, homelessness, things I've lived through, right? And I saw that people were fighting for systemic change from an entity, from what's known as, I've learned the word egregore, which is when you have a collective thought tank, which is when someone says, I'm a blank, we're a government, these are the rules that we operate. And then they spread those rules so that an agreement on an energetic level is made to anyone who goes in that system. Think of school. When a child goes to school, they say, well, you're going to school, these are the rules. When you're doing a systemic change through activism where you're trying to change the organism, Immortal Technique had one of the most beautiful quotes that summed it up well. And I'll go this because I know we're running out of time. He says, when people try to fight to change the system, what happens is they don't end up changing the system. The system usually succeeds in changing them.
Oh.
That's a bar. That is a bar. So I'm going to let y'all sit on that because now to get out of it, I have to get my little Omni extra. You know I got to go there, guys. I told you, I'm always two-stepping. If you can think beyond that system, it becomes what's known as planned obsolescence. You no longer need it because something else, when you don't use the VCR anymore because of streaming, no one had to say, we have to get rid of VCRs. You stopped using your VCR because a higher mechanism came, the DVD, then the streaming came. Go to where the higher mechanism is permanently accessible. It is there in the quantum realm. It is there for everyone to access. And if you choose to go there, simplicity and ease will come. Put your attention and energy on the things you want. I'm gonna drop it on that. And just say that these are thoughts.
That bar from Immortal Technique, great. Like, and so what I get from that is that stereotypical activism is utilizing the same playbook of racial capitalism to try to create something new, which obviously does not work.
You're creating something in the box.
Right. So
how are you gonna create
we have
something?
Right. So we got to move out of move out of it. And that's one of the call to actions. How do we move out of this system that we know is built on harm, terror, greed, and power? How do we move out of this economic system, this way of living? That's the call to action. What can you do right now to your best to not participate in the system while having to manage, while having to navigate in the system to make something different, using that new or creating that new social imaginary?
Yes, that's a beautiful word. I got one thing. I know we over time, but
that was good, Janet. Good job,
Janet. That's a bar. We got this, guys. And this is what I want to say. We did it. See, now that hurts people. You know what happens? We think now I'm gonna throw a what if out there. What if we already did it? What if it's already here? What if everything your ancestors were fighting for and everything you've been fighting for already exists and it's done? That you don't have to, because when you're thinking of building it, you're still thinking from the colonized perspective. Because that's what they want you to do, to think you have to obtain it. Your divine right is ordained through your existence. Don't forget that. That's what we forgot as a collective species. I get the goosebumps on that.
I was gonna say that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
No, that's true.
You did it.
Look, it's real. It's
You
real
did
like
it.
That. It's real.
You're
like
already
that.
there. You
I'm wondering
graduated.
now-
Already
I'm wondering
there.
now
Shout
if our
out.
next
Shout out.
question
Milky
does our next question work now? I don't know.
Hit it, run it.
It does. It does.
It's supposed to contradict, guys. That's
It
what the
does.
Tao is. It looks like it contradicts itself because
this is called living in life and
that's called being.
and
That's
cosmic.
life, guys. That's life. We contradict each other. We always, you know what I mean? We contradict. That's how you grow. You must contradict yourself to grow.
Right.
You guys got it. Hit it.
So
hit it
Danny,
up.
Yes.
Hit it up.
All right. For our special concluding
Let's go.
question,
Woo.
we like to ask our guests why, in your utopia, there would be ...
You would know you're here. You'd know you already did it. I'm going to echo that. You would know that nothing's missing. You were never incomplete. You were never not enough. You know, it makes me emotional to think about that because that's the trap for us to.
take
Just
your
know
time, take your
you
time.
got it. That's it. There isn't more to it.
Right.
And it's here. If you think that it's here and you know that it's here with you. And don't forget, remember, that's it. I don't got no advice. I don't have answers. I'm just as lost as everyone else. But I can say it. I don't know. And that's enough to not know.
Ashe.
That's my utopia.
Ashe.
That's it.
Ashe.
We already got it.
Whoo, buddy. You got this, Danny.
All right.
Wow.
Why?
guys.
Thank you so much for sharing this space with
Right.
us. Thank you so
Right.
much. And
Right.
I'm sorry that we have to end in after
No,
an hour.
you
that
guys
we can't
look.
keep going.
We could do this on a Tuesday. We got it. I really believe, like, remember when I spoke to you guys before? I was like, guys, you locked in with me. I love y'all.
Thank
Like,
you.
it ain't that, you know what I'm saying? It's deep, but it ain't that deep. It's like, bro, you want to run back 2 of these? Run back. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
I don't mind, guys. To be of service. You honored me by giving me, and the way y'all held it down to allow me to be authentic and to come with
Yes.
that. Like,
Thank
see,
you
at the
for
end,
that.
you guys did that for me as the matriarchs. You know what I mean? Y'all did that. That's the womb can only do that. And this is no shade. This is why they try to throw me under the bus. Because I was like, there is something to womb-bearing creatures that is different. And that has to be honored. You know, that y'all, if it was 2 dudes, it wouldn't go this way, y'all. It would not. It could not. So we gotta honor that. It's not, that doesn't devalue me, but y'all energy dominated, so I'm allowed to do what I'm supposed to do and be emotional and vulnerable because y'all created not everything I said you guys might agree or resonate, but you didn't shame me, you didn't put me down, and I'm working through that because I've been in spaces. They're like, nah, bro, we just want the W9 info, we just want that and that. Don't bring that space omni talk to this.
Yeah. Yep.
And you know what I did?
Yep.
I caved. I said, okay, well, I'll take the check.
Yeah.
And then I became a slave energetically. And then,
Yep.
you know, and what did I do? The money went away quick and I'm struggling again. Like you said, Danny, you were right with what you both said. But I'm here for you guys as individuals. And the fact that y'all captured, that's just a bonus cherry on top, you know? But it's love.
Boom.
It's what you said, Janet, about why not show love. Like, it's cute to say it. People use the words I use all the time. But you know what? When I play that chord, you're going to feel that because I'm putting my whole life experience in that.
Yeah.
Even if
Putting
you
it
play
all
the
in
same
there
notes.
like some cook up. Like some cook
That's
up.
a cook-up rice. You know that thing.
Cook up rice.
When grandma don't got no recipe, if you give grandma the recipe, it ain't grandma's. You gotta watch grandma cook that joint with the arm. Come on, talk the big
Right.
things. Talk the West Indian
Thank
thing,
you.
right? You
Thank
can't
you.
write it down. And if you wrote
No.
down grandma's recipe, it is not You guys gave
Yep.
the bar. It's grandma's recipe.
Yeah.
See, you
Just
see,
saying.
we know this, guys. We know
Thank you,
this. We know this. But yet
Yeah.
we don't remember it because we choose by conditioning to let it go and just be like, no, I gotta put 3/4 pinch with this amount of this. And then what happens? basura, trash. It doesn't work. It ain't it. You gotta trust it. Sometimes you'll oversalt it. Sometimes you make a little thing, but you know what? The joy is in the scars and the quirks and that. Like we can't get rid of those things. It's in the
Trusting
process.
the
Praxis is
process.
in the process.
Bringing it back to part one.
Yes,
Trusting
yes.
the
Yeah,
process.
And
guys.
literally everything in your pedagogy background. Yeah. So
Everything, guys.
really,
And you guys had to do it.
yeah.
Without the part one, there would be no part two, right? You guys laid the foundation and I just came to add up on it. But the
Yeah.
work is there. And see what I do? I say, thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. And people don't, they think it's obtaining. Gratitude. Man, what did I do in the first call? Yo, you guys actually want to talk to me? Woo! Like, I'm just surprised. And it's not fake. I'm truly like, I'm not known. I'm not anybody more or less or better than anyone. No, but you guys were like, and I just take that humbled me. It brought me literally almost to tears at the end, and it brought up those things in me because of you. So thank you. And anything I could do, this is going beyond this is a human thing. This is my respect for you as women, as humanity, and like I said, to be called all those horrific things, I was like, why are they doing it? But then it makes me more adamant to love and say, because I said a womb-bearing person is this and different, I'm a misogynist now. I'm like, Jesus. Then call me whatever you gotta call me, bro, because I'm gonna believe that the reason it went that way is because a womb carries life. So, okay, bro, if I talk a little, I curse a little bit, all right, cool. Now I'm no good and I need to be thrown out because I grew up a certain way, I went through hood shit. Okay, I'm no good, then cancel my ass, you know what I mean? Like, but those who are meant to receive, they're gonna be all right. And this is the fearlessness I need. And thank you guys for being like one of the things that helped me get out of that, because I disconnected from a lot of things, but I knew that Source would, go in there. So thank you guys. I want to honor your time. I see the message coming in there. And send a bad signal. If nothing more ever happens in this, we did great work. But if you need more, y'all know where to find me. That's it.
All right. The bat
Thank you
signal
so
is
much.
here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
That's
much.
it.
Bye.
That's it.
Someone's
Sauce.
microphone got loud all of a sudden.
All
Sorry.
right,
So,
I'll leave
but
my
thank
number
you
in the
so
chat,
much.
y'all.
Thank you for the audience.
917-816-2572. If you ever need it, but even if you never do need it, just know that I appreciate you and I'm infinitely grateful for this. I'll let you guys do what you need.
And everyone, check out the links below to all of Y's stuff. Thank you all so much. All right. Do you want me to close this out, Janet?
Yes.
All right. So for our outro today, we want to remind everyone that we do have a part 3 of the Navigating Artivism Collection coming up. We're going to be reflecting back on all this juicy, saucy stuff from today, as well as from part 1. And this will be with our RFC study group. And that's on Saturday, March 7th, 2026 at 1 p.m. EST. So mark your calendars now, March 7th at 1 p.m. We'll be live again on our YouTube channel here. Remember, if you forgot, to subscribe, like, and share, and we'll see you all next time. Oh, but before you go, we'd like to remind you that this podcast is funded by the two of us, your lovely lady artivist hosts, and your donations. So please help us keep our podcast going by making a donation through our PayPal link in the show notes below. All right. Janet.
Peace.
Peace, at least.